stop. If you have stumbled upon video 603, what you need to do is stop watching this video immediately and go back to the previous video, number 602. You need to watch that 1.5 hour worth of footage so this video, number 603, makes sense. Thanks for that. A community service announcement. Just before I tuck into this delicious finger bun for my morning nourishment, allow me to give you a rundown on what today's video is all about. 2 years ago, I was parked in this exact same spot and I was off to find Wallace Falls via Gypsy Cave and Gypsy Pool. There was 2 attempts to get to those falls. The plan was to walk down Wilson's Creek and then come around to where it meets Bedford Creek and stumble upon Wallace Falls that way. And if I was lucky, walk up an unnamed creek and have a look at Dakin Falls. I failed on the first attempt. I managed to film Gypsy Cave and the pool. The second attempt in that same month was from Murphy's Road, and that one I just lost all confidence. I went down pretty deep into some rugged bushland there, and that was a real bush bash. So I shelved those tapes. I put them on a hard drive and they were lost. I thought I had lost them. I didn't know what hard drive I put them on. I have so many videos over the years. I've got a number of hard drives at home. I did not know where I put those tapes. This last week I found them. So if you want to see that video of those 2 attempts, it'll be the one before this one. So I went back to the drawing board and came up with a different plan this time around. So what we're going to do, we're going to go up to Woodford and we're going to try to attack it from Dakin Falls this time around. I'm pretty confident I can get to Dakin Falls. I found a new map with an unmarked track. So if I can get to Dakin Falls, and there is pictures of someone getting down below the falls there, looking up at them, I then have another 2.5 kilometre walk down to Wallace Falls. But again, I don't know what the creek system's going to be like, and I don't know how rugged the bush is going to be. So allow me to get my morning feed on, and then I'll drive up the short way here to Woodford and we'll start this explore on an 11-degree day. Beautiful sunny skies, bells in Key West, America. So this is going to be just me today, a solo mission. So fingers crossed, 2 years on, I can complete this story. Right, we've parked in this street called Carrera Avenue here in Woodford. Temperature has dropped to 9 degrees and the wind has picked up. In Springwood, I didn't see any wind. So here's the track that I need to take, and we're going to have a quick pit stop at a place that comes up as permanently closed somewhere around here. It's a lookout, and I mentioned it a couple of years ago when I was walking down Wilson Glen Creek, which is down there. Now I took a picture or a screenshot of this lookout to make sure I've got the right one, and I think it's these rocks just down here. So this apparently is known as Chakita Lookout, and it's permanently closed. It's a landmark on G-Maps. 2 people have reviewed it. This was the picture that I took. I have to hold this camera with both my hands because it is freezing. So why this is permanently closed, I have no idea. On the other side there is Park Road. That's another place I was looking at to come in from to Dakin Falls. But down here, from what I read, is an unmarked track. It's a kilometre to Dakin Falls from here, so hopefully we can follow the track to on top of the falls and then find a way down. I think I'll stop here on the way back. It's a little bit too cold at the moment. Let's just head down this track here. I have no idea why Chakita Lookout is permanently closed. Maybe the locals didn't want people parking and turning up in their street. Okay, you see here, this is what we're faced with today. Little tracks like this. So we're not going to have any signs pointing us to the direction of Dakin, but it's not all that far away if we make mistakes. And you might ask, when you watch that video, when you did mention Chakita Lookout, why didn't you head up there and make it to Dakin Falls 2 years ago and then work your way down to Wallace? Well, Wallace Falls is the prettier of the two, and I wasn't fussed if I didn't make it to Dakin Falls. I just wanted Wallace, but considering it was so hard to get to, I was just going to be happy with the one and not the other. So today it's just going to be possibly Dakin and not Wallace. We'll just have to wait and see. It all depends on that unnamed creek. How many heavy drops are there going to be? On the map that I found, it doesn't list any more waterfalls, but in saying that, the people that went all the way down to Wallace Falls, they didn't walk down the creek, they bush bashed, which means they would have no idea if there's any other further drops or any other waterfalls on that creek system. So I'll go down as far as I can in that unnamed creek, and if I'm not getting anywhere, I'll have to then jump back up on top of a mountain and bush bash the way they did. So you can see how it snakes down through here. And it just works its way down. So once we get down to the bottom there, we'll turn back on again. We have to head in that direction, thank Christ, because that's where the sun is. It's a pretty defined track. Once you get on it, you're not going to get lost. It just snakes its way around, and we'll working our way down. You can see here, works its way down this way and straight down there into the bush. Winter has come early. See, got another marker here. So people are kind enough to tie ribbons to trees, but they look very, very old. You can see another one down here stuck on the bottom there. It's fallen off somewhere. Right there. Works its way down. The beauty about it is that it's only a kilometre from Correa Crescent up there. So getting to Dakin is really easy. I measured the distance all the way down to Wallace, and from where I parked the car there, it was 3.5 kilometres. So knock off a kilometre if we get to Dakin, it'll be another 2.5 kilometre walk down that creek. So all up, a 7 kilometre return walk if I can manage to snake my way down and get to the bottom. I can't unload that lost tapes video unless I complete this one today. I can't release that footage unless I film and photograph those two falls, that I set out for 2 years ago. We have another little bit of torn tablecloth, it looks like. I'll be happy once I get into that sun. I've just got a very light hoodie on today. I was hoping just to go with the shirt, but it's only going to get up to 21 degrees, and that's around about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's going to remain cold for this good part of the morning. I'll give you a bit of a write-up as well on what this gentleman said. There's another one here of when they reach the falls. Be mindful when I read this out to you, once I get to the bottom of the falls. It could be from 10 years ago. You have no idea when he wrote it. Is it up over that rock? No, see? There's another one down here. So it looks like we need to get down here. You can see where the rock drops off there. So they've guided you around this way. So you can step down here and work your way down. There should be more ribbons down there, I would say. There is a small little, looks to be creek there. Surely we haven't reached it that quickly. Go and have a look. So that's the most challenging part so far, coming down this rock here, so just be careful when you do that. Come around, you'll see more ribbons down here. Whoever put these here, if you watch my video at any point, thank you very much. Even though the track is pretty obvious, that up there might have been a little bit of a sticking point for most people. It just seems to be a sinkhole where a tree possibly may have sat. I can't see one that's fallen down anywhere. It's just a body of water. Oh no, there is a small creek that comes down, but just ends here. Doesn't go any further than here. Okay, we've got some mud down here. Let's see if there's been anyone through here recently. We'll be able to tell if there's any twigs snapped or if there's any shoe prints on the ground. Be nice if there's ribbons like that all the way down to Wallace, but don't think we're going to get that lucky. I think these ribbons are going to end at Dakin. See, if there hadn't been people through here in the last 6 months, this would have all overgrown. You see how it's parted? This would be very tricky to navigate through here. Like that will close up in on itself. So it looks like people must have just been exploring back in the day through the bush. Maybe seen a crevice on satellite mapping thinking that was some creek that no one had explored before and just made their way down. There doesn't seem to be any other tracks coming from any other direction, so it's just the one, which is good because a lot of these walks that I go on, there's tracks coming from the left and from the right. This one is just one, which makes it very easy to follow. Trying to listen out for a waterfall, but nothing as yet. And I'll tell you what, I am right down in the bush now. It's pretty cozy down here. I'm not feeling the cold anymore. I'm surrounded by bush. You can see where it goes all the way up there. Mr. Ribbon hasn't put any more down here. I thought about taking pictures of the journey down, but they're not going to be very good when you're looking at them online. People are not going to know what they're all about. I'll just wait till I get the waterfall. I got some good snaps 2 years ago when I was walking down Wilson Glen Creek. Okay, we have reached the sun. Chakita, look at it, is all the way up there. This should warm us up a bit. Alright, just keeps it up going through there. So we came down one mountain, which is all the way up there where the sun was, made it right to the bottom, worked our way through. Looks to be a little track going through there, but there's a defined track going up through here, and we're climbing another mountain. I actually thought the creek might be down in there somewhere. So if this isn't right up here, whatever's on top of this ridge, I'll go down this track that I've seen coming out the side here. But I'm just going to keep on working my way up. But I still can't see any footprints or anything. It was about a kilometre walk to Powder Cave, the explore that we did a couple of weeks back. So I'm just gauging on how long that took us to get there. And if I'm walking for more than 15-20 minutes, half an hour max, that I know I've gone too far. Or I haven't headed off in the right direction. So we should be able to see houses on the other ridge there, and that's Park Road. There is another waterfall over there. That's not a very well known one, called Parrot Falls. I plan on doing that one day as well. Okay, now we're on top of this mountain, and it looks like we're going to go down it again. So the creek must be down in there. No more ribbons. I wonder if they got lost and turned around. Let's just film going down through here. And if you do stuff like this, make sure you go with a friend, unless you're very capable. If you feel confident in the bush, it's still a silly idea to do this kind of stuff alone. At least make sure you let people know where you've parked your vehicle and what you're off doing. Because anything can happen really. Snake bite, roll your ankle. Even though you're only a kilometre away from suburbia there, you've got a lot of trees above you here. Helicopter might struggle to see you. The ribbons stopped long ago up there. Now we've got some rock cans. Looks like someone has placed a whole bunch of rocks here to allow people to know to head down here. I don't think that's natural to you. Looks like another one there. Someone's decided to have a break here, I think. And here we go. Keep your eyes peeled, Prime, and you'll see things like this. Ashton, Clara, or Clara. Place some rocks here. I might get a few pictures of those. And now we're heading down. You know what heading down means? We're going to get down into a creek soon, I think. Let's see how far down we are from the other side. So it looks like down in there might be some sort of creek. I'm in a very remote area now. Can't hear any traffic. And we're still working our way around.
Right, we've got a bit of a creek crossing here, a dry creek bed. This is probably a feeder creek. I betcha once we drop down into the unnamed creek where Dakin Falls is, this will slide in to there somewhere if you walk along it. And 2 years ago also, I just didn't have the smarts to measure my distances. Not that I didn't have the smarts, I just never thought about it. I only really started doing that last year when we had that big walk with Mavericks to Baronia number 5. I wanted to work out what our quickest route was. So that's when I started measuring distances. Look at that, see? Now this reminds me a little bit like Fairy Glen. So up there in the Southern Highlands, when we did that closed off track because of the rock slide, it had all grown in on itself and we had to go in underneath with ferns like this. This one's still parted enough where you know which way you're going, but we had to guess at the Southern Highlands there. You leave that for 6 months where someone doesn't walk through there, and that there will just be a canopy of ferns again. I love these kind of explores where you just don't know. They can be very rewarding or they can be a killer, like that second part of the video from a few years back. I could have gone under there, but no use bending over just yet. We're still making our way through the bush, or doesn't seem like we can go anywhere here. Nothing down through there. This is another dry creek bed, another feeder creek, and it looks like it goes up in through there. On this big rock here, I've lost the track. I don't know if it's down through there or if it's up through here. This may have been some sort of rock hand here that's fallen away. There could have been some rocks there leading you up in through there. You see there's another track through there. I've got to be careful now not to stray too far off. I'll just go up here a little bit and see if I can find some sort of marker up there. There's the track that we came up, and I'm on this rock here again. I went up a little bit further there, and I'm not going to go any more. I just wasn't confident. I'm starting to climb back up again. You can see here we're down really low where a creek might be. I'm not going to stray too far away from here until I can definitely make out a track. Let's see what's down on this end. I'm now starting to think one of those feeder creeks may have been the way down. See, it looks like it goes down there. Why couldn't anyone have put a ribbon here? At least here I've got the escarpment and I can get myself back out again. If it's not down here, all I have to do is just follow the edge and it'll come back up on top of the rock there. Heading up into the bush there. I don't know where I'm going to end up. I still can't hear any waterfall or anything like that. Might be dry as. There's something definitely down in there. They talk about trying to find a safe way down. Maybe this is what they mean. I was hoping that I'd come on across on top of the falls there. So I've come down this dry creek bed here and there is a massive drop. This could very well be Dakin Falls. I have no idea. But I have no way knowing what's the safest way to get to the bottom. It's definitely not down through here. Look how slippery it is here. There was another creek up that way. We may go down that one a little bit, or it could be snaking your way around and finding safe passage down where it peters out a little bit. But you can see the drop down there. There's the unnamed creek down there. So it's definitely not up there. I've come down all the way I can on this side. So I think I'm at the right spot. It's just a matter of now navigating my way down into the abyss. I've worked my way on the other side of the creek there and I couldn't find any safe passage down. I went pretty much on top of a waterfall, far too high to get down into there unless you're abseiling. So I'm making my way back slowly to where the rocks were, Clara, and I forget what the other name is, and I'm standing on top of this rock here just trying to get down here and make my way somewhere here, and I can see something down here. It looks like some sort of tank. Now I could be wrong, it might just be a rock. But if I zoom into there, so if there's a tank down there, people can get down there. It looks to be a little bit easier through there. So I'm not quite sure if you can make that out just there. To my eyes, it looks like it's a cylinder type tank, a round tank. So let's get back to those rocks. They might be a marker to get down the mountain that way. And all those ferns that we've seen keeled over on either side, maybe people are missing where they need to head down into the creek bed. So let's get back over to where they were and see if we can find a way down anyway to that tank and see what that's all about. So here's all the rocks up here. What were the names? Clara, and Ashton. No wonder I didn't remember your name. So I'm trying to now guess, is it around this rock? Let's try down in here. And then what they might want you to do is when you're in that creek bed, they want you to work yourself up to Dakin Falls. Unless that tank's been helicoptered in, there's got to be some sort of path down to it for maintenance. There's no markers here at all, no ribbons or anything. The cliff's pretty high. I can't see that tank. Maybe I was just seeing things. What about this area here? That's a bit sketchy through there. And there was probably an easier way down through there. Now I'm going to see if I can get down here and work my way down. Okay, I'm down safely. I don't think I'll get back up that way again. I'm trying to see where I can climb up. I think I can climb up on the rock there. I've got to get back up on there to get home. There is a path heading down here. This is promising now because I'm down off the mountain. I've just got to make sure I remember which way to come back up again. Should I hug there or should I go over this way? There's the abyss down there. I can't see any tank down here. I'm glad my eyes were playing tricks because it's led me down here. It may have been this rock here. I'm not too sure. It may have been this one that I could see from back up there. But I found a safe passage down and I can hear water. So I'm nearly bottomed out. So I've got to make a really distinct marker down here. You see? Straight down there. I've got to make a really distinct marker to know exactly where to come back up the mountain here. There's no ribbons or anything here. I don't know if I should work my way around or keep on heading down here. There's the creek down there. Success. I'm down in the creek, but is this the creek I need? It's only a guessing game. Should I walk back up that way? Or should I continue down? I've snapped this twig just here to know I've got to head back up this way. There's not really anywhere to walk along the side of the creek here. So I'm going to have to drop down into it and make my way through it under all these ferns and up over twigs, logs. At least I can't get lost because I'll just follow the creek. Let me just see how easy that is to find. Okay, so you can see the broken bit just there. Alright, I'll walk down this creek a little bit and see if I come across anything. If not, I'll turn around, head back up the mountain. I decided to walk up the creek just to make sure Dakin wasn't here. This is where I was standing up the top here and looking down. So I've managed to get as far up as I can. There's a whole undercliff here. I don't know how many people have come up this far, but there's nothing much to see. But there's no way known from here down. It's just a sheer drop. I'll head down this track here, or what looks to be a track. I doubt it is. I don't know how full this would get with water. You can see all the minor rock collapses down there. Okay, so it must have been up there where I was. Let me just try to get down here. Alright, it's there. That's where I was. And this is what I could see below me from up there. Alright, so there's no waterfall here. I doubt that's Dakin. I'll have a look at the pictures before I leave here. I did take a picture of Dakin Falls. It could be dry. You never know. It could be it, but there's just nothing coming off it. Yeah, I thought I'd come up here first before I work my way down. There is no tracks up here. I just was deep into the creek. Yeah, that's it for sure up there where I was standing. Lucky I didn't get too close. I was looking down over to this way. What an effort. I don't think if I do find Dakin, and I'm not that confident I will, because I don't even know 100% if I'm in the right creek system that Dakin is on, unless it widens. I don't know how this, it could be, it does widen here, so, but it's a pretty thin creek if I decide to walk down it. Look at these collapses here. Oh. I can get right down onto them. Geez, I'm going to be tired at the end of the day. There's a lot of scrambling back up this mountain. Look how far down I am. Wow. That's a dropper. Look how far down I've come. And this cliffside here, this escarpment was out further towards me. That's where all these rocks have come. See how it's eroded with the water over the years and the weather, and that's just been collapse after collapse. This tree will go one day. Look at the size of that. So that's the way home up there, but a little bit further down that way. Alright, let me check the picture of Dakin, get a few pictures from here, then I'll make my way down the creek maybe, I don't know, for about half an hour and see if I come to some sort of waterfall. Alright, I need your help, guys. I think I've reached it. This is Dakin Falls without any water coming off it. Here's the picture that I put on my phone just to make sure, and have a look at that. Hopefully that's coming up. Have a look at the ferns and tell me if that's it. Now what's really interesting to me is this log across there. Can you see the, let me try this. So that log there, it goes across there, there's the rock, but it's wet. You can see how they're both wet. I think it's this rock here. I think the log's above there. I'll leave the phone here for a bit. Let me just go up and do a rock scramble up here without killing myself. And I think that log is just up here. He's just got it in frame. That one there. I think this is it. I think Dakin Falls is up there. And there's a little bit coming off it, but not much. So I was on that one over there. I didn't come to the edge here, I don't think. But this here, and there's one fern that's hanging off the edge there. I'll go back onto the picture. Pretty sure that's the fern. And you can see this undercliff in the picture as well. And I think this is what gives it away. If I was to guess, it's this one right here. We'll have a look at this phone again. If you have a look at the tree just to the left of the waterfall halfway down, it's just there. See how you can see the undercliff there? Have a look at it again. I'll blow it up a little bit if I can. So that tree right there, you can see the gap underneath it there. That's there. Tree and gap. The fern all the way up there is the fern on the right hand side there, up the top. But what gives it away is that log. I'm pretty sure that log is the one up there. Can you see the rock just to the left of it? There's that rock there. Now I'm going to read the reason why I decided to challenge myself and get down here. It's not a spectacular waterfall. I suppose if there's a torrent of H2O coming off there, it would look pretty nice. But this was all about the challenge. This is what it writes on the site that I found. Dakin Falls are not the easiest to get to. There is an unmarked walking track that goes across the top of the falls. That's where I was, up the top there. But then finding a way to the bottom of the falls is a challenge. So we came down where the rocks were of Ashton and Clara.
Certainly not intended for anyone not used to serious off-track walking and scrub bashing. If not careful, there is a high chance you will end up on private property. Just enjoy my photos and leave it off the must-visit list. It would be too hard for most people, a place very rarely seen. Well, if this is Dakin Falls, Optimus Prime has got to it. Third time lucky. If you've been here before, or if you happen to watch my video and you're the gentleman that posted that wrote that up, let me know if this is it. Now this is the unnamed creek that leads you down to Wallace Falls. It's 2.5 kilometers down that way. And you've got Wilson Glen Creek coming in from the left, where it meets Bedford Creek on the right. So it virtually gets to a T intersection right down the bottom. I think I might give it a crack. Let me see what the time is here. Let's see. It is 10:19. I'm going to walk down the creek. It's something that this gentleman didn't do. What they did afterwards is, I'm pretty sure they climbed back up on top and bush bashed, unless they bush bash on the bottom through here all the way to Wallace Falls. But I'm going to walk in the creek, considering I've got thongs on, and we'll walk down. If it takes a kilometre, probably half an hour, it'll probably take about an hour to get down there if I don't get any obstacles. But just remember, as we were coming down Wilson Glen Creek 2 years ago, it was dropping down, and I got to a certain point where I couldn't get down unless I had abseiling equipment. I have bottomed out here, so there's no more dropping down, but I don't know if this climbs again and then drops again. So anyway, from Dakin Falls, thanks for joining me. I will now continue along this unnamed creek and see if I can get both falls in on the one day. Here's an idea of what it's like in the creek here. And this is what I have to navigate. Plenty of ferns. There are bits and pieces up a little bit further on where I actually came down the mountain, which are easy, but there are places that are very hard, and I'm constantly ducking down. I did lose my glasses, my shades, my 3513s, Ray-Ban replicas, a little bit further up there. Luckily I found them. I spent about 10 minutes looking for them, and they were in the water. They are the Flash Silvers, and they were easy to spot, but I didn't know where I dropped them to begin with. Alright, see how it dries up here, and then the water comes in from the left and it starts again. All the rocks are mossy, so you've got to be very careful. Otherwise, I will be heading out of here on one leg. There you go, that gives you an idea through there of what it's like. I've got to constantly check my tack belt, my torch, my phone, my other phone for taking pictures, my camera bag, that they don't get hooked on a tree and they're lost to the wilderness down here for good.
Now, I'm not quite sure if I went this way. Looks rather deep there. No, I think I jumped up here. It was a bit of a struggle getting up to Dakin. It widens as we get down to Wallace. It's going to be hard going if it's this thin all the way down. Those that you've been watching my channel for a long time, you would have seen me in many creeks like this over the years, and this is all I used to do as a boy. There where I used to live on the northern beaches, I'm very close to Manly Dam, and we walked down from the dam through the creek all the way to Ringa Golf Course. So I'm very used to doing shit like this. Okay, here's a stick that I put across the creek here. I'm going to grab it because this is not where I came down, although I can head up here. Once you're down here, you can't really get lost finding your way back up the mountain because it's just down a little bit from Dakin Falls, like it comes to an end. So I'm just going to carry this long stick with me. I did break a stick to give myself a marker, but whether or not I'm going to be able to see that on the way back, I have no idea. If this one's right across it, I'll have a better chance. I should really have a Rambo knife with me down here, but I don't. Come on, get out of here. Yeah, look at it through there. Honestly, is that something out of Rambo 2? The Mission? I've got no hands to support myself at the moment. Let's see if we can see that snap twig. Or where I came down. See, I could head up there. I reckon I can head up there. That's a nice, easy way. I still can't see the snap twig, so I came down a little bit further on. Actually, I might leave it here. Oh, here it is. There's a snap twig right there. So I thought I came down there. All right, so what I'll do, so I know for sure where I start heading up, this will be across the creek. Like so. And as soon as I get to that, I'll see the broken branch there, and I'll start to head up. From here on in, it's all new to me. I never went down this way. So fingers crossed, we at least get on top of Wallace Falls. So it looks like from this point, the creek widens up a little bit. Have a look at this tree. So if anyone ever thinks about coming down here with a friend, as soon as you get to this tree, there's another one that's fallen down here. Once I jump down into here, it's a little bit wider. I am following the mountain, so just be mindful. You can't get lost, don't panic. One side over here, you've got Park Road, and the other side is where I park, Correa Crescent up there. Just keep on following the mountain. Use the creek as a guide. You know, I don't use compasses if I don't have to. Very rarely do I use satellite navigation. There's no reception down here either. Just use markers. Creeks are great markers. Power lines are great markers. Look up in the cliffs, you might see something distinct, you know, where you get to a point, you know, the gum tree here with all the bark hanging off it. When you get to a clearing, look up and you'll go, oh yeah, I passed that tree. As long as you stick to the creek, you've got no problem. You can only end up to Dakin or head up the mountain. You can't go anywhere else. It's once you get further down and you head right down Bedford Creek, that's where you start getting really into the wilderness. But there is a campsite on the other side, so just yell, I'm sure someone will hear you. I made an effort not to step on the sand here. It looks like some sort of bird print or animal print here. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. I took a picture with the Polaroid camera, so we'll see if that comes up better. But you can see it looks like the feet of some sort of bird, I would say. I'm constantly looking down to see what sort of animals are down here. I can hear something. I wouldn't call it a whistle. Something making noise up in the trees. See if you can hear this. It's something like. I think it might be the wind on a branch or something, where it's touching another one. Look at that. That's what I'm going to have to get through. Look at this big bitch in front of me here. You've got a boulder sitting in the creek bed. Now you imagine how far down that's rolled thousands and thousands of years ago. Let me show you the cliff up here. Oh. There's the cliff up there. That has rolled from up here somewhere. There probably was no trees. For it to miss all the trees and end up in here. It's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Now it's getting very, very thick. Very thick indeed. These ferns, man, they're a killer. I just backtracked a little bit to give you an idea of what I encountered through these next lot of ferns. You ready for this? I don't think it's Wallace Falls, but it's the first sign where we're coming to rock overhangs and other little waterfalls. Look at that. Now I'll get down the bottom now, I'll check the picture of Wallace Falls, but I doubt very much this is it. This is only small and I haven't been walking all that long. So with this one here, I would suggest walking around this way and then dropping back down into the creek. We'll get down in there and film back up this way. Here are tiny little rock waterfalls that no one gets to see. No one at all. You'd probably be careful enough to get to the edge there and get down on that rock. Nothing in the sand there. If I do manage to get to Wallace, I think I'm the only one that's published anything on YouTube of Dakin and Wallace. Well, 2 years ago when I checked, there wasn't anyone. There may have been within that time period. This is the spot on this side because the sun is causing a little bit of havoc. I've not seen any rubbish. It is pristine down here. I've just come out of a rather dense, shady area through there, and this is the first time it's opened up on me. Have a look at this. I can hear something in the distance. It sounds like running water. It's either that or the wind. I'm also getting caught on these things here. Mate, it's wrapping around my throat and they're lassoing me. But I don't think I'm going to have to bend down much anymore. This now reminds me of Wilson Glen Creek. When I was coming down there, that was relatively easy because I could stand up, I didn't have to go under anything. Unfortunately, we're not going to probably find any water coming off Wallace Falls. But as I said to you before, this was all about the challenge. It was all about his post saying, this is not for the masses. Not many people, if anyone, will ever get to see this. Don't do it. And it lit a fire in me 2 years ago. That started this journey. You know where I said it opened up back up there and I could see the trees and the sun? Well, the hardest part was from there on in. I spoke too soon. It was virtually inaccessible through there. There is so much debris caught up everywhere. And the creek being so thin, very hard to get through. I'm virtually at a right angle. My back bent over all the way down. I can have a little bit of respite for the moment, but we're now getting into very dense bush again. Wow. I'm bloody starting to wish a little bit I never heard of Wallace Falls. Starting to head down now. Been flat pretty much all the way and I can see it dropping down. So fingers crossed. You see even the cliff line is getting lower. I remember when I used to coach young kids in rugby league and I always used to say to them, what's the quickest way to the try line? And they'd say, straight ahead, coach, straight ahead. And that's all I've done. I have followed this creek 99.9% of the time. I've rarely jumped up on the embankment. So if I'm going to get there quicker than most, it's going to be for that reason. And look how low we are there. See, I could jump up on top of that, but I have no idea where I am up there now. Now these big boulders that have fallen down from up here. Got a rock overhang here. I thought I'd seen some inscriptions here. Looks like there's something there. Maybe not. Maybe I'm seeing things. Let me pull the flashlight out if you guys can't see. Yeah, I don't think. Although God, that looks like an arrow. Right there. That's an arrow going down to a box. Am I seeing things or what? You would think there would be more if that's the case. What's it pointing to if it is an arrow? There's nothing up there. So just down from that rock where I thought I saw an arrow, we now have a huge drop. We've got a waterfall here. Now I've got to try to make my way down. I'm not quite sure which way. I think I'll head around here and see if I can get to the bottom. If I can't, that's the end of the road. I'll have to turn around. There's a huge drop there. Let me see what I can do here. This is a little bit dangerous now. Wallace, if that's you, you son of a bitch, I've conquered you. I've got the photo down here on my phone. I need the people watching this video to confirm it. This is not easy getting down this waterfall. I had to slide down. I'm going to struggle to get back up again. There's no other way. Look at the cliff line. There's no jumping down from here. And unless you want to go far into the bush and maybe get yourself around. Now you guys tell me, keep an eye out on this log here, down the bottom here. I'm thinking it's this one right here. Hopefully that's clear. Is that it? Is that the one? I think it is. It's a cascading one. There's a slight two-tier waterfall up the top there, like there is there. And it goes down. There's that fern down there on the bottom. Who knows how long ago this gentleman's pictures were taken. It was with a very good camera, just remember that. To get the waterfall looking like that, that's not your standard telephone. It's as far as the road as I'm going. It's midday. I was hoping to walk a little bit further down to where it meets Wilson Glen Creek on the left and Bedford on the right, and then I was going to walk up Wilson Glen and then walk back up towards the Gypsy Pool and have a look at that waterfall that I couldn't get down. But I think I better not push my luck. I've spent half a day down here. If it takes me, what, 2 or 3 hours to get down there, I'm not going to be able to get back up to the car in daylight. It's not daylight savings. The purpose of this video was to conquer Dakin and Wallace Falls, and I think I've done it. I think that's what it is. Let me get a few pictures from here and I'll show you the route that I have to head back up again. There's one final thing left to do from down here before I try to make it back up. Read you this gentleman's write-up of Wallace Falls. This is what he wrote, and I'm not quite sure how old his post is. There is no walking tracks anywhere near these falls. This is a serious off-track trek through very thick scrub. This is not a set of falls that the masses will ever visit, or even a small number of people. It took about 90 minutes of serious scrub bashing to reach the top of the falls, and another 10 minutes or so finding a safe route down the cliff to the bottom of the falls. These falls are in the Blue Mountains National Park, but depending on where you start from, you may be traversing on private property without knowing it. If you are not used to bush navigation and know tracks and self-sufficient, please do not attempt these falls. So virtually the same what he says about Dakin. If you know the correct way down there where the rocks are for Dakin, I would say they're relatively easy to get down to. Wallace is very difficult, okay? Follow the creek down, but getting down safely to where I am at the moment, that's hard, okay? Like the guy says, be very experienced, have a friend with you, have some sort of beacon where you can message someone to come and rescue you, because I am way down here. So the next time I turn this video on, hopefully I'll be standing on top of the falls there and shooting down, and then I'm not going to film anything on the way back until I get to that stick that's across the creek. Just to give you a quick idea of what I have to get back up. It's muddy, I'm hoping to dig in. There's a bit of rock ledge here, but I don't know if I'll be able to grab anything. If not, I'm going to have to work my way down where they came from. And I'm going to see if I can get up here. It's not a long way to fall if I do slip, but I'll get very dirty. You will be happy to know that I scaled back up here, but not without dirtying myself. I had to really dig my feet into the side there. I've managed to make it back up to the top of Wallace Falls. I'm going to give myself a bit of a clean, wash my thongs. They are very muddy, as you can see. Probably wash my pants a little bit because I've got to go into Springwood after and grab some lunch. Alright, the next time I'm going to turn this camera on is when that branch is across the creek. I think I'll be pretty tired by the time I get back up to there. My back is killing me already. So I've got 3.58 kilometers to go back up to Correa Crescent, and we'll get Chakita Lookout on the way back. How high the mountain is up there. I did no videoing on the way back, took no pictures, just concentrating on getting back to the stick across the creek, which is just here. I left Wallace Falls, the top of Wallace Falls, at 12:11. It is now 1:09. So it took me just under an hour. Just under an hour to get to this point right here. So here's the stick that we put. A little bit further up is Dakin. Here's the one that we snapped. Now it's just a matter of finding my way back up to that rock that I thought that was a water tank, which it wasn't, but thank Christ my eyes are playing tricks on me because it led me down here. And I'm going to turn the camera back on up there at the rocks where Ashton and Clara are. Wow, that was an effort. I've got 2 mountains to go. Walking through this creek is not easy at all. I'm going to name this Prime Creek because I don't think there's been anyone that's spent more time in this creek in the history than I have. I walked up it all the way. I tried to not bush bash at all. They said they took an hour and a half bush bashing. Well, I made it under an hour straight up through the creek, bending every which way I could. Onwards and upwards we go. I won't lie, that has taken it out of me. Climbing back up this thing here, wow. That is not easy. God. Where are these rocks? I thought they were just here. That's not it. Must be up around this next one. Oh, God. Is this the unmarked track? I believe it is. Wow. From here on in, it's what I consider easy, considering I don't have to battle through all the bushes, and it takes me straight back up to the car, even though it is all uphill. Here's the rock cans that someone has placed. I would have no idea if this is a marker to tell people to head left here, but that's the way I scaled up the mountain and went down the mountain. There might be an easier way, I'm not too sure. And that's the way I went. Thanks, Ashton. Thanks, Clara. Oh, hope you tune in and watch these videos. Make sure you watch video 602 before you watch video 603. That will tell the story of what I went through 2 years ago. I knew I was close to the top when this wind started up again. Here's this rock from the morning. This is not Chakita, but we had a look at it. The sun's baking it now. Let's pop on here and see if we can notice any view. Oh God. Pretty rock. It looks like they're laid, like someone's come in and laid these stones. You can't see the other lookout from here. I think it's just up there. There's a track that heads up there. That may even go up to Chakita lookout. I might head up there, see if that takes me the right way. Wow. Look at the mountains on the other side. And look at my bush wounds. Look at that. Now when they heal up and scar up, when I'm old and frail and sitting in my rocking chair and I watch these videos back when I was young and able, it'll bring a smile to my face and maybe a little tear that I can't do that anymore. That's why I do it now. I see how old my parents are and how active they were when they were younger, and they're pretty much just house ridden now, and it's counting down for me as well. Another 20 or 30 years and I'll be in their position. That's why I try to get out as often as I can. Alright, one last turn on of the camera when we get up to the final lookout. It looks like this is a shortcut either way. If you go down here, this is where I parked the car, just up here. I headed down this way and curled around, but this is a lot quicker. Straight down, turn left. I think this is the permanently closed Mamacita Chakita lookout, and it is. Woo! He's done it. You have no idea how satisfying that is, doing it by yourself on the smell of an oily rag, trying to guess which way to head down into the creek, not knowing if they were the waterfalls. Oh, you don't know how elated I am. I'm going to look forward to watching today's explore adventure back. So from up here at Chakita Lookout, thanks for joining me. Even though I am alone, I don't feel like it, because when you're videoing, you're actually videoing for people out there, so it feels like that you're with others. You feel like they're watching you live anyway. So until I see you again on the next adventure or explore from myself, Optimus Prime, adios.